Welcome to this edition of the Skn Newsline Newscast. I'm Andre Huey.
There were general declines in the number of students and the number of subjects taken in 2021 for CSEC and CAPE examinations, according to a report from the Caribbean Examination Council, CXC. More in this report from Skn Newsline's Glenn Bart.
The Caribbean Examination and the CXC Director of Operations, CXC was responsive to the situation and implemented strategies to enable students to sit the examinations. She indicated there were general declines in the number of students and the number of subjects taken in 2021 for CSEC and CAPE. In presenting the featured address, CXC's CEO and Registrar, Dr. Wayne Wesley, said the Council was cognizant of the impact that the COVID-19 pandemic would have on student performance.
Today's ceremony signifies the commitment of the Caribbean Examinations Council to advance the regional education agenda. Despite the unprecedented challenges, the challenges, though formidable, were not insurmountable. We also recognize that this function represents a period of great anticipation, not only for the candidates, but also parents, guardians, and teachers. I want to assure you that we understood the impact that COVID-19 would have on performance. Therefore, our deliberations during the marking and grading processes gave full consideration to ensure that candidates were not disadvantaged while ensuring the integrity of the examination process. Over the last 2 years, the capability and capacity of all normative systems were and continue to be tested, revealing the inadequacies and vulnerabilities within the regional education system. Therefore, the emerging imperative for member states is the development of a greater level of resilience in the education sector.
According to Dr. Wesley, a robust and sustainable transformation is required in order for the region's education systems to be more responsive and agile. Students will have access to the results as of 15th October. Glenn Bart reporting for Skn Newsline.
Pay more attention to your mental well-being, say health experts, as Mental Health Week is being observed. More in this report. On the occasion of Mental Health Week, which began on Sunday, October 10th, members of the public are being urged to pay more attention to their mental well-being. In an interview on Freedom Radio's Issues program Thursday, mental health officials spoke to the importance of mental health and persons seeking assistance in this regard. Dr. Sherilyn Ward Crawford, clinical psychologist at the Ministry of Health, pointed out that mental health challenges come in various forms and not always in the extreme cases.
It's important for persons to recognize that sadness, maybe they're having some sadness frequently every day for the majority of the week, for 2 weeks, and they don't think much of it because they are expecting to see somebody eating out of the garbage, as people tend to look at the most extreme cases. And we are saying, no, we don't want persons to wait until when they start to eat out of the garbage, or we don't want people to wait until they're so depressed that they're not eating at all, not speaking at all, or anything like that. We want persons to recognize that it's important to note when they are a bit off balance. And we all know our balance. We all know when we are a little anxious. Well, a lot of us are able to be aware when we are a little anxious. A lot of us are able to be aware when we are feeling a little sad and down. But we just don't want people to recognize these signs and symptoms. We want persons to be able to do something about it.
One component in mental health treatment and attention, often overlooked, is the social services aspect. Kishandra Martin, a social worker attached to the JNF General Hospital, was also on the program, where she broke down her role.
I started by saying that social workers support individuals and their families through difficult times. They also ensure that the vulnerable persons, such as children and adults, are safeguarded from harm. They help persons to cope and solve problems that they face in their everyday lives, and they also are advocates and act as guide to these persons as well. sometimes social workers have to use their professional judgment to make some really difficult decisions that may not always sit well with, their clients or their patients. However, these decisions, they need to be made. So I want to give a small example of when a social worker have to make a difficult decision. There's a child in a classroom, and every day the teacher noticed that this child is coming to class every day with, bruises, and when the child is extremely sad and is crying and tearful. So when the teacher questioned the child says they're being abused at home. So the teacher would have to refer the case to a social worker, and the social worker would have to intervene by, investigating what exactly is happening at the home.
Meanwhile, counselor attached to the St. Kitts Mental Health Association, Zara Jacobs, spoke on the importance of persons getting sufficient rest as part of good health hygiene.
How are you sleeping? Are you exercising? Like, you need to be able to build endorphins so that you can feel good to stabilize yourself. What kind of food are you eating? Everybody knows me, I'm a Twix maniac. But we need to be eating greens and oranges so that our body can sustain ourselves when we do have a difficult time. And how are we managing stress? And the reality is that a lot of us, when it comes to stress management, we are turning to drugs and alcohol very quickly. We are medicating ourselves with food far too quickly, and we're just engaging in a behavior that is risky and not helpful to us in the long run.
The Ministry of Health is observing a week of activities in relation to Mental Health Week. I'm Andre Huey for Skn Newsline. When we come back, health authorities pushing the use of rapid antigen tests.
If you're looking for a one-stop shop for all your electronics, you only have 2 stores to choose from. Island Electronics on 4th Street, Bastyr, and Smart Electronics at Port Zante. At Island Electronics, you have some of the top brands in electronics, from the top-of-the-line smartphones, Samsung and iPhone, laptop computers, smart TVs, washing machines, small appliances, phone accessories, refrigerators, and so much more. Brands include Whirlpool, Samsung, Black & Decker, HP, and much more. Island Electronics is located in the heart of Bastyr. Make it easy for you to access and shop. You can also choose to shop at Smart Electronics. Get the same great deals and quality products, the widest array in smartphones, including the latest Samsung Z Fold, smart TVs, and simply the best in household appliances like stoves, refrigerators, washing machines, even dishwashers. At Smart Electronics, get products for your leisure, headphones, video games, from Nintendo Switch to PlayStation 5, Bluetooth speakers, and much more. It's so hot these days. Well, at Smart Electronics, you can buy fans or air conditioners. And the brands that Smart Electronics carry are simply the best. JL, Beats, Whirlpool, Amazon, LG, Samsung, HP, Dell, RCA, and many more. You can choose to buy cash or on layaway. So if you're looking for electronic stores with the best deal and quality, Island Electronics and Smart Electronics are your only choices. Choose the store of your convenience. Contact them today. Smart Electronics at 466-4271 or WhatsApp 668-2818 or Island Electronics at 665-8677. 2 stores, 1 great experience.
An open interactive event can be described as
tremendous, effective,
on par with any conference around the world.
From exhibitions to trade shows, corporate events to product launches, from press events to political functions. We are the secret sauce behind events that make you go, wow. We've staged multiple world-class events in the Caribbean and developed the skill to deliver quality in every detail, whether the event is live or fully virtual, or maybe even somewhere in between. At Open Interactive, we got your events covered. Get your free quotation today at www.madebyopen.com.
Welcome back. Health authorities in St. Kitts and Nevis are pushing the use of rapid antigen tests.
Medical health authorities are making a case for the regular use of COVID-19 antigen rapid tests, according to Dr. Cameron Wilkinson, the acting chief medical officer. With the technology becoming more sensitive and specific, Dr. Wilkinson believes the rapid antigen test could supplement the use of the highly accurate RT-PCR test. Speaking during an NEOC COVID-19 briefing, Dr. Wilkinson explained why the increased interest in utilizing the rapid test.
antigen tests that have a sensitivity greater than 80% and a specificity greater than 97% compared to the RT-PCR tests. They are finding greater use in the management because, number one, you get the results very quickly, and two, you don't require any significant laboratory infrastructure to have this set up. The World Health Organization gives guidance on how these can be used, how, when, and where. And the 4 scenarios under which these can be used is for case finding, contact tracing, investigating outbreaks, and monitoring. Who is controlling it? Yes, and monitoring. Okay, and we believe that we may soon be able to use the antigen tests in some of these conditions, because if, for example, there was an outbreak in the prison or there was an outbreak in a nursing home, instead of in the past where you'd have had to do an RT-PCR test on 100 inmates, you can do the rapid antigen test on the 100 inmates and get your results back in a very short space of time and determine what measures you will take. Or if there was an suspected outbreak in a school, you can test a class right away, get the information, determine whether or not you need to take out 1 or 2 kids, and the classes can continue. And so the recommendation that the Ministry of Health is considering, and I'm pretty certain that this will be put before the Cabinet for them to make the final decision, is in the use for case finding, outbreak investigation, and monitoring trends.
It is expected that the use of the rapid antigen tests will assist in the rebuilding of the tourism industry on St. Kitts and Nevis. Glenn Bart reporting for Skn Newsline.
The Alexandria Hospital expansion to be completed in 2022, according to Premier Mark Brantley. Work should resume shortly at the expanded wing of the Alexandria Hospital on Nevis, says Premier Mark Brantley. Mr. Brantley, who is also the Minister of Health in the Nevis Island administration, said the work was halted to do some assessment of the flooring of the building to ensure it is constructed properly. He ascertained that the increased cost of work there should be around $500,000.
In terms of the additional cost to the budget, I don't want to misspeak. I believe that the numbers I saw were just over $500,000 that the cost was. So the additional work to get where we need to be at the Alexandria Hospital. The consultants, I'm aware, have been on island. I don't know if they're still here, but certainly they've been here over the past week. And we expect that the contractors are going to be back at work very shortly. Recall that we stopped the work, the shell having been completed, the building having been completed in terms of the exterior. We stopped the work so that we could know that the flow of the interior was exactly what we needed. And so we now have that. We brought the expertise to bear, and we anticipate that the work will resume very shortly. Once that work resumes, we expect to be able to inaugurate that new wing of the hospital by next year, 2022. And we know it's been a while, we know it's been a significant investment thus far, but we think that it will catapult Nevis into the next 20, 30 years in terms of healthcare and our ability to deliver healthcare to our people.
The opposition Nevis Reformation Party was very critical of the CCM-led administration for the stall in the hospital expansion project, which broke ground in 2017. According to leader of the Nevis Reformation Party, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, the government failed to complete the works ongoing at the hospital. But Junior Health Minister Hazel Brandy Williams, during a recent contribution in a meeting of the Nevis Island Assembly, said the delays are necessary to ensure the high quality of the building being constructed.
It has been a long time in coming, but I want to assure you that once this edifice is completed, it will be something that all of us will be very proud of. I would have said in this house before that it is not an ordinary house we are talking about. It's a technical building, and so it warrants the going over the plans, ensuring that they are done properly. We have been in consultation with the experts from PAHO who are guiding us every step of the way. And so, in as much as it has been a little delayed, it has been delayed for all the good reasons. And the good reasons are that we want to have utility of this facility for the next 50, 60 years. And so we must We must, I emphasize, get it right now. There is no room for error in building and in commissioning a hospital.
Ground broke on the expansion of the hospital on May 31st, 2017. Andre Huey, Skn Newsline. When we come back, the Liat dilemma explored.
Auto Plus Car Wash, located on the Collins Street Gut, Bastille, St. Kitts. Bring your car to Auto Plus Car Wash to remove water stains, wiper marks. Get your doors, roof panel cleaned, seat floor mats, buffing, headlights, and engine wash. You get quality service at the best price at Auto Plus Car Wash. They really care for your car. Call 765-5140 or visit them on the Collins Street Gut, Bastille, St. Kitts. Auto Plus Car Wash, where the service is number one.
Welcome back. Now turn our attentions to a look at news across the region. President General of the Grenada Technical and Allied Workers Union says regional governments lack the will to bring an end to the Liat dilemma, which leaves former workers languishing in poverty, as one regional leader argues that shareholding governments have no liability to the ex-workers. GBN News reports.
GTAO President St. Andre Lewis tells GBN that the union, beyond the regional perspective, has engaged Grenada's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell to garner any assistance it can provide for local Liat workers. St. Louis says the issues facing Grenadian Liat workers not only include severance pay, which is being dealt with regionally, but also outstanding matters such as negotiated salary increases.
And all of those matters were quantified since last year or even before last year. But given the problems that Liats had been facing over the years, these matters remained outstanding, and then we went into the quote-unquote liquidation of Liat.
The Antigen government has offered regional unions to pay 50% of the severance, plus lands and bonds. The union leader says the unions have since brought forward practical issues on the proposal to the court-appointed administrator, who has sought further clarification.
Because the question that will arise, or has arisen, is, so let us say workers in Grenada agrees to land, for instance. And let us say the land is in Antigua. And I'm just using this as an example because that's where the directions were pointed. How does a Grenadian Liat worker benefit from land in Antigua?
On GBN's Beyond the Headlines program on Monday, Prime Minister Gaston Brown impressed that this is an extremely lucrative deal, noting that regional governments have no legal obligations to pay.
In terms of any legal liability arising from the collapse of Liat, the governments do not have any such liability. And it is well known that Liat's assets are such that if you sell them on a piecemeal basis in liquidation, they may only get about 5% of their severance liabilities paid.
However, the GTAO president says the regional unions believe otherwise.
All the workers who have been part of the Liat family continue to lavish in poverty from the fact that they have been left unemployed through no fault of theirs. And these workers, not just in Grenada, but Liat workers throughout the region, have contributed significantly to the company. Even in some of the bigger crises of the company, workers made sacrifices in terms of their pay, the benefits, to ensure that the airline stayed in the air. And therefore, there's this obligation that the governments of the region have to ensure that the Liat workers get what is due to them.
St. Louis reiterates that regional unions have not refused the proposal and are still hopeful of a resolution in the near future. I am Gerard Joseph for GBN News.
One private school, Smart Minds Education Institute in Guyana, is facing allegations of improper administration of discipline following the expulsion of grade 3 pupil, allegedly because the child's mother tested positive for COVID-19. We find out more in this Amel Griffith report on HGP TV.
One mother was left frustrated and confused after she learned that her 8-year-old daughter would no longer be permitted to attend Smart Minds Education Institute, located on 69 Crow Street, Georgetown. The reason, however, is what is puzzling the child's mother and prompted the family to stage a peaceful protest on Wednesday morning in front of the school's premise. Tonya Richmond told Nightly News that the school board expelled her daughter, who had been attending the school since she was 2 years old, without just cause. In her version of events, she claimed that she and her older daughter tested positive for COVID-19 on September 24. This prompted the rest of the household, including the child, to get tested for the disease as well, and results showed that they were negative. Richmond said that while the positive patients self-isolated, her daughter continued to go to school. However, after 2 weeks, her entire family were cleared after subsequent COVID tests on October 6. The little girl reported late for school that day after taking the test, and on being asked the reason, she informed her class teacher that she had gone to access a COVID test. The mother alleges that the child was immediately put outside the school gate to wait for an adult to uplift her. The school later informed her not to send the child back until the family received the results.
It was fair with me because it's protocol, so I said, okay, we got the results on Friday. We sent it to Miss Ward by WhatsApp, and she said, okay, Alexis could come back to school. On Monday, we received a call and saying that Monday morning we were preparing her for school about 6 something. I received a call and was told that Alexis cannot come to school because she has to stay home for 2 weeks.
Richmond objected on the basis that she had recovered and no one else had tested positive for the virus.
She said, well, she's a private entity, and that's it, and she hung up the phone. With that, my daughter went to the Ministry of Education, the personal, and she went to the school first and spoke, and she was being harassed.
Her older daughter claimed that the staff of the school verbally abused her when she visited to question the child's expulsion.
My daughter said, when you go here, this is why I don't like deal with these early morning cross.
An hour later, after lodging the complaint at the Ministry of Education, the family received this call from the school.
This is she. Okay, just inform me that the school took up position.
Yeah.
We do not want Alexis to be at the school any longer.
Okay.
You can bring in a receipt and we will give you a full refund.
A final decision was made by the Smart Minds Education Institute to remove her daughter from the school with a full refund of the paid fees. In light of the ongoing pandemic, Richmond said she found the school's move to be ludicrous. The woman said that her daughter is deeply traumatized and will have to undergo counseling following the school's recent actions.
I said I have to go and get other schools. She said to be put out of that school because of COVID. My sister, well, I work with myself. She said my sisters will be knocked off from their job because they have COVID. These are the questions we ask, and she's crying. So now we have to, in the middle of a school term, she don't want to go to other school. We are expense of herself with textbooks and everything, and we have to go and start all over again.
Nightly News visited Smart Minds Education Institute, which caters for preschool, nursery, and primary learners on Wednesday, to get a comment from the principal on the matter. However, this proved to be futile. The matter has placed the school under the microscope of the Ministry of Education. It was confirmed by a ministry official that the Ministry of Education was informed of the issue, intervened, and the child has been placed in a public school. Reporting for the HGP Nightly News, I'm El Griffith.
Whether online or in stores, North American shoppers may have noticed that everyday items are becoming hard to find and costs are soaring. Global News has more.
A backlog out at sea. Over 60 container ships carrying millions of consumer goods wait to unload at the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach, California. The ships extend 64 kilometers out to sea, but there's a shortage of workers at the docks and not enough truck drivers to deliver the goods to stores.
While the consumer may be willing to go and spend more money, right now the issue that's rising is there actually a product out there for them to go purchase? It is more difficult to get what you want.
Even everyday products are in short supply. Across the U.S., Costco has limited how much toilet paper, bottled water, and cleaning supplies you can buy because of the port delays. Halloween is already turning into a nightmare for retailers. COVID-19 stopped most parties last year. This year, it's supply chain issues haunting them.
We're still waiting on about 25 or 30% of the merchandise to come in that we've previously ordered, and some of it probably won't even ever come in before the holiday.
Christmas is not looking too jolly either. Many toys, clothing, appliances, electronics, new cars, and now even artificial trees are getting harder to find. Most artificial trees come from Asia, where manufacturing slowed to a trickle during the pandemic. Now companies can't keep up with the demand.
Buy your Christmas trees now before Thanksgiving, because otherwise the shelves will be bare and there'll be lots of out of stocks.
Retail Canada says stores are reporting the situation seems to be getting worse as the year goes on, resulting in much higher prices for consumers. Skyrocketing shipping costs are adding to the problem. Big retailers are now chartering their own much more expensive cargo ships, but that's not an option for others.
A lot of these smaller publishers and stores are holding inventory in China, trying to wait out the freight to see if it gets cheaper. And I don't think this is going away for at least 2 years.
The Canadian Toy Association says inventory problems may force some businesses to cancel pre-holiday sales like Black Friday. Experts say consumers need to be strategic this season, buy early, and have second and third choices in mind. Jennifer Johnson, Global News, Washington.
In sports, the Jamaica Reggae Boys recorded their first win of the World Cup qualifier final round campaign with a 2-0 victory away to Honduras on Wednesday. That victory propelled the Jamaicans to 5th place in the CONCACAF World Cup qualifying table with 5 points from 6 matches. Jamaica previously lost to the United States 2-0 last week Thursday and drew 0-0 with Canada on Sunday at the National Stadium in Kingston. In other results in CONCACAF World Cup qualifying, last Thursday, Honduras drew 0-0 with Costa Rica. There was a 1-1 draw between Canada and Mexico, while El Salvador edged Panama 1-0. Then on Sunday, in addition to the 0-0 draw between Canada and Jamaica, Panama edged the United States 1-0. El Salvador lost to Costa Rica 2-1 and they ended up with the game with 10 men. And Mexico crushed Honduras, a 10-man Honduras, 3-0. Then on Wednesday, USA, they defeated Costa Rica 2-1. As we indicated earlier, Jamaica defeated Honduras 2-0. Canada and Panama, Canada crushing them 4-1, and Mexico defeating El Salvador 2-0. Both teams ended with 10 men as they were sent off with red cards. The World Cup qualifying campaign continues next month with Panama versus Honduras, Canada taking on Costa Rica, the USA versus Mexico, and El Salvador playing to Jamaica.
Welcome to the Skn Newsline Weather Report. I am Janil Boone. Here is a look at the 4-day forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. For a more detailed weather report, visit our website at www.sknnewsline.com.
You have been watching the Skn Newsline newscast. I'm Andre Huey. From all of us here at Skn Newsline and Channel 95, thank you for watching.